We had the opportunity to have a look around a GT35 and an MG500 mud recycling system, solids control unit. We've just completed the commissioning and testing at our UK site, GTD UK in Kent, and it's part of a bit of a training and commissioning with the Kenza guys that these rigs are going to. But now, before we pack them up and they go on the lorries and straight to a job, we thought we'd take the opportunity with Alex to walk us around a few of the upgrades and improvements we've done on the 35 specifically and the mud system. We constantly develop these and improve them down to the small things and the big things. And there's some fairly big changes on and upgrades on this rig. So let's go and have a look around it.
Because it's a UK spec rig, this has to have a cage now. So this is the new upgraded cage that fully enclosed the complete rod handler and clamps, which means you can operate the rod handler without opening the cage now, which is a massive improvement, saving a lot of time and work basically for the drillers. And
also we've redone the rotation cutoff. So do you want to give us a bit of technical explanation on that?
So to comply with UK regulations, you've got to have a positive re-engagement of rotation after the cage is shut. So now when you open the cage, the rotation stops within one rotation of the drill rod. And then when you shut the cage, it doesn't restart without the driller positively engaging by pressing a button on the control panel. Then the rotation will restart.
And this is triggered by, you've got a magnet here, but that's a coded magnet, which means that it can't be bypassed and switched off and tricked into it. It's integrated into the system.
Next on this rig, we've had this out quite a while, but the new clamp pads and clamp pad holders are installed. So we used to have 4 pads per clamp holder. Now we've got 2 pads per clamp holder. Okay, and they're also much easier to change now and much harder to damage by clamping drill bits and rock rollers, drag bits, things like that, which is not what should have happened, but inevitably that's what the drillers do, and it ends up squashing the pad holders against the pads, which makes them incredibly difficult to come out. We've made it all much stronger, so it's probably still possible to do that, but with misuse, but they are definitely more up to the job now.
Yeah, and the idea behind going to 2 larger pads rather than 4 smaller pads is that actually it costs us the same amount of money to produce the larger pad. So we've halved the cost of the replacements for the end user. So that's it, money saving as well as usability. And that's the thing is, what we've done is upgrade. The upgrade is available so it can be retrofitted to any of the fleet of GT35s. So we have about 70 GT35s out there across the world at the moment. And it's possible for them, next time they wear out the pads, they can make the decision to change over the whole unit, which is all slots in together. And of course, the savings on the pads itself over the lifetime will pay for the upgrade.
So there's 2 upgrades here. We've now got a top guide to guide the rod in. When you're engaging the 2 rods together, some of the rods end up getting bent and or the head's slightly out of line. This enables the rods to basically connect much easier, much faster, completely hands off from the drillers. So we've got them here, and then also these rollers have been upgraded with bigger bearings, and also we've coned the tops and bottom of them, so it makes it much harder to catch them with the spanner flats on the rods.
And we've also got the adjustment on the actual rollers themselves, so they take a lot of abuse, and they can rattle. So basically, when they've worn a bit on the guides, you can tighten these up and take that play out of it.
Yeah, there's inside there's PE pads basically that push against the ram guides to keep them tight.
Because what we find is a lot of people aren't using what we call the donut in the table and the plate in the donut, and they'll have this completely open and they use the guides a lot more than, and of course any play directly rattles through that. If you've got this in, then you don't need it. But yeah, we sort of bulletproof that, as we know that people love using that and they don't particularly put this in, although we do recommend it.
This is also, it goes with the new upgraded rod handler that also has a rod guide on it as well. So when you're unloading rods, if it's windy, or again, if you've got slightly bent rod, yeah, it will guide the rods in. So it gives you a bigger area to get the rod into the rod handler. Yeah, so you've got an upgraded base now, but that's been out for a while. I mean, that's probably at least 30 rigs with that base on.
Yeah.
So we fitted flow restrictors as well as the flow controls. So some of the operators were basically, if they inexperienced, new to the rig, they were running the rod handler too fast and putting a lot of wear on it. So we basically locked the flow, so you have some adjustment, but only up to a certain level. So it keeps it in safe operating parameters. We've also upgraded the lock-offs. So this is when the rod handler comes up, the stopper basically. Again, if they were running it too fast, we found that these were getting bent. So now along with slowing down the operation and locking that into a set flow, we've also upgraded the stoppers as well, so they can't be bent. So,
whilst we're here, this is probably one of the biggest upgrades, would you say, we've done, or the newest thing?
Yeah, newest thing. Yeah, these have just come out. So we've got like a double gearbox now. So below the hydraulic motors, you've got two planetary gearboxes, which take the high-speed rotation from the new high-speed motors that spin up to 4,000 RPM. They bring it down to approximately 600 RPM. And then the main gearbox then drops it down to the 180 RPM to drill with. This means that we're taking a lot less wear on the hydraulic motors for the top head.
Yeah, previously one of the design nuances of the 35 was that we pumped a lot of hydraulics through those motors to get rotation, didn't we?
Yeah.
And because the head was probably lacking a little bit on torque. It's not the most torquiest head in the world. So we had a lot of rotation, which we found worked really well with productivity and PDC drilling, didn't it? But it meant that those head motors wore out quicker than you'd like. And we accepted it as part of the design. And what we actually did was we supply head motors to clients. We give one set of free head motors with the rig, and we sell them at cost price on the bulk price that we get. So we only charge $1,500 for the head motors, but it was still a concern. They lasted 1,000 hours, 1,200 hours.
Yeah, between 1,000 and 1,500 hours.
Yeah. But we always wanted to see what we could do with this. And the important thing with these heads in the gearbox, it actually adds 24% extra torque to this head now. So although the RPM has dropped a little bit, we have a big increase in torque.
We've got a few improvements here. Yeah, one, this rig's fitted with the data center for the rig. Secondly, we've got now we've got speed, we've got flow controls for rotation, centrifugal pump, and the mist pump. So this means, and on top of the original pressure relief valves, so you can control them both with pressure and flow. This means you can basically keep the pumps running at a set pressure, but then reduce the flow by turning the hydraulic flow down to each hydraulic motor independently. It's just another small adjustment, but it means a little improvement.
Do we want to take this opportunity to talk about the feed flow and that control? Because that is something that we found a lot of people aren't actually used to that, what it does. And a lot of the other rigs out there don't have that facility necessarily.
Yeah, so you've got a float control here, basically. So instead of pushing the rods into the ground, you can basically let them float into the ground. Now this is the advantage. We mainly use this when we're down the hole hammer drilling, DTH drilling, and you could also use it when you're drilling soft ground as well. So if you're drilling hard and soft ground constantly, it stops the drill bit basically flying off when into the soft formations after you've gone through the hard formations. But yeah, mainly used with DTH, and it means you can it makes the adjustments much simpler. So you basically just let the hammers go in themselves, and you're not constantly adjusting the feed pressure for overfeeding it or not enough feeding it. They basically control themselves as they go in. So it increases the speed of DTH drilling and makes it much easier for the operators to not have to constantly, they can take their eyes off the feed speed basically. We're here with this, we've moved the remote box and hammer oiler to behind the main control panel now. And that has enabled us to increase the size of the hydraulic tank, which is another small improvement.
But part of the cooling package upgrade that we've done.
So yeah, all GT35s are now fitted with the auxiliary hydraulic cooler, which is completely independent from the existing one. This is an add-on, and this has enabled us to bring the hydraulic temperatures down from between 70 and 80 down to 50 and 60 now degrees, which again, with the rigs running in longer hours, hotter climates, being pushed harder, it's required basically. And we've also upgraded all the existing fleet of GT35s with this package as well, free of charge to the clients.
If you look at we'll go back to the cooling pack there, and you can actually see there is a fuel cooler in there as well. So another part of the cooling upgrade was to add a fuel cooler in there, and you can just see it through the mesh there. Yeah, what we found was, as productivity has changed and the geothermal drilling market has changed, requirements have changed, more boreholes, more productivity. We just had, only 2 weeks ago, we've just had a new record where 3,216 feet was drilled in one day. That was 8 boreholes, a new record. Now, they're between them pulling their last rod out and dropping the loop in and moving and starting drilling again, they're taking 7 minutes. So the rigs are working, that was a 13-hour drill day, and it works flat out for 13 hours non-stop with no break. So we've had to upgrade the rigs to move with what people are now achieving and what the rig allows people to achieve. So yeah, Alex, as Alex said, that's standard on all 35s now, but it's also standard on all the bigger models, the 45 and the 65 as well. So we've upgraded all of that. And yeah, like we originally said, the larger hydraulic fuel tank was part of that upgrade.
Fittings down the rigs have changed from number 5 to number 6. So number 5 was available in Europe, no problem, but in the US it's a big problem. Like it's a rare size. So we've taken all the number 5s off the rigs and then number 6s.
This is all JIC.
JIC, yeah. And then also the mud lines now are all MPT for the USA and BSP for Europe. And
Schedule for the
Schedule 80.
Schedule 80. So we upgraded that a long time ago, but it's nice to still talk about these things because a lot of, sometimes we don't talk about the things we've actually done. Yeah, so we tailor the rig specifically with the fittings for the area, so Europe or North America basically.
Yeah, and also the fixed mud lines now are also replaceable much easier when they wear out as well. So here we've designed our own 3-way valve effectively. We were finding that this was causing heat issues and generating a lot of friction with.
And what's the 3-way valve for? Explain.
So this controls the flow between the 2 different pumps. So between the piston pump and the centrifugal pump, it's basically your selector valve. And we've got our own Y valve now rather than a T valve to reduce friction.
Pumps. This has been we've always wanted to fit. We've always supplied the rigs with 2 pumps on. You have your piston pump and your centrifugal pump. That means that this is your everyday pump. Hard wearing, will last a long time and is good for your shallower holes. But then your high pressure holes, your deeper holes, where you need a bit more push from your geology, higher pressure, you've got your triplex piston pump. This has now been upgraded to the stainless steel end, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What else do we need to talk about this, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so the biggest issue with the piston pump is, with any piston pump, is the wear it can take, and then the rebuild time and costs. So to run this, we've paired it with our MG500 mud system that is now fitted with 8 cones. So that's the biggest upgrade on that, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But like Nick says, the biggest thing is you use your centrifugal pump for your drilling your shallow holes, or even your deep holes as well, depending on the drilling conditions. And then if you need to, you've got a piston pump as backup, basically.
And they're just like you say, you've got your Y valve to swap between the two. You have to take off your feed, your outlet pipe, and just swap them over, which can be done in a matter of minutes. So even if you had a breakdown and you finally worn through your centrifugal, then you can swap over and complete the hole and keep drilling whilst you change that out. Nothing really has changed on the air side of it. For air drilling, it's all the same configuration as standard. You have your air in point here from your compressor. Having separate compressors is so beneficial because we're using such large air now. You know, they're 1350, 500s and above now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, you know, you just physically need 600 odd horsepower to run that compressor alone, even more. So it's not possible to have it on the rig. And
also with fuel costs, like you don't want to be running a 700 horsepower engine when you're mud drilling, because you don't need that. You don't need that power.
Yeah, even more, it'd be 900 probably, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but you've got your, this is your air manifold. You've got your mist pump in, air dump, and then you've got two hydraulic cutoffs that are controlled from the main control panel. This is your air dump, and this is your air cutoff.
And we actually offer the compressors that can be mounted on the TC24 track carrier as well. So that can just follow behind the rig.
And to be fair, also here is the inlet. There's a small compressor that's mounted underneath the rod rack. So that enables you to basically blow the mud out of the mud lines if you're mud drilling in winter and it's freezing conditions. So at the end of the day, you can charge the air tank and then blow your mud lines out with an onboard compressor.
You can see the air compression tank under there. And you can actually got a good view of the compressor here as well.
Yeah, so there's a small twin piston air compressor here with an air tank underneath. This is your mist pump for hammer drilling, and you could also use it for washing the rig down as well.
The old pressure washer. Yeah. Slide in, slide out, handrails now on everything. So obviously safety upgrades and everything, steps. These fold away, slide in, they deploy in a matter of seconds. They're super simple now. So really usability wise and safety wise, as you do for the rod handling, you will go up and every row of rods you go up and, oh, we haven't actually got the plates here, have we? But they're already up, sorry, they're here to separate the rods. So yeah, for the second man or the lead driller who's going up and down there, there's the second man controls. That do the rod racking system. As we know how the 35, we've gone over the operations 35 many times. You can drill in on your own and you can drill out on your own, but it's much faster to pull out with two men who can lay down the rods whilst the driller's pulling them. Yeah, that's about it really for the upgrades on the rig. These have been implemented in all the rigs. So when we tend to upgrade, because all our rigs are the same, they're just slightly bigger. Basically, the 35 being the smallest, and then 45 and the 65. We implement every upgrade throughout all the rigs.
Yeah, so yeah, it's very important that if we do a design change, we try and make it so that we can backwards upgrade all the rigs. So those rigs can be improved and upgraded if the clients want to take those options.
So Kenza, interestingly, actually have rig number 1.
Yeah.
So they have the first one we ever made, and then now they have the latest one we ever made.
Yeah, and a third one.
They've got two more in between.
Yeah,
but there's nothing that can't be upgraded on that first one to bring it up to spec with this one. We have fitted the coolers on it already, the cooling package. They can upgrade the handler in time. They can change the head motors to the geared head motors and bent axle ones if they want. We can upgrade and fit the GTD data system to the rigs. We don't want to because that's a nightmare.
But we have done it.
But we have done it and it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it really for the rig.